All right, guys. Hope everyone's doing well. This is Sean with BlueRidgeSilverhound, and I'm happy to present the final Pocket Change Market Report for the month of March. And this is March 22nd. So you're probably asking yourself, what in the world? I mean, we still got like 9 days left. You know, you're easily got 2 more Pocket Change Market Reports in you. I'm taking a little bit needed break. So after this week, I am gonna get off YouTube for a few days, 10 days to be exact, just to kind of recharge the batteries. But that goes the same for everything. No TikToks, no YouTube. Sometimes we allow ourselves a little bit of time to get away from the hobby to just really refresh things. So that's what I'm doing. And, I do this about once a year, where I kind of fall off for 10 days, and hopefully you guys understand. But we're doing this Pocket Change Market Report. We got about 2 more days worth of videos and content that I'm going to be doing, but after this coming Friday, I am done. But have no fear, we'll be back April 3rd for more videos and all the great stuff. So if you guys are not familiar with the Pocket Change Market Report, it is exactly like it sounds. We talk about coins that people like you and I have found out in circulation in some capacity, whether that's change you get back from a vendor or a restaurant or what have you. Maybe you're a coin roll hunter and you're finding a few of these pieces. That's another great way to find these at face value, essentially. But also to the folks that cherry pick the local coin shops and coin shows, you guys are making it happen by cherry picking some of these varieties and errors that normally dealers really don't care about. All right, so there you go. It's a great way to add to your collection at a much cheaper price than you would normally pay for the attributed error value. Hopefully that makes sense. But also, it's a great way to supplement your income. I know folks that do this full time and do really well. We don't talk about graded coins ever because that's an extra cost component that you really don't need with this. The coins, as long as you attribute them correctly on your eBay listings, will sell for themselves. Now you gotta make sure you do pretty good photos as well, which goes to my next point. All of the images you see here today are original to the seller's listings. We didn't doctor or juice any of them to make it look better. You are truly going to get the best and worst images. That way you're going to kind of see where that bar is set. So hopefully you guys will get a little photography lesson out of it as well. As always, and give me a second here, I do sell coins on the platform Whatnot. And we have our final one for the month of March coming up this evening. March 22nd, Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is the U.S. type signature sale. So it's all U.S. coins. We're going to have some bullion in there as well for all you silver nuts. It's going to be a really nice show. So I personally invite you guys to come on down, check things out. And if it's your first time joining the platform and you're kind of tired of eBay and all that stuff, come on down to Whatnot. It's one of the hottest platforms for reselling today, or auctions in general. And if you do decide to sign up, you could earn yourself $15 in credit to use immediately on your first purchase. I'm going to have the link down below to my referral link. Please use that because you will earn more credit as opposed to just going to the website and signing up there. So you do get $15. But I'll also have my referral link for tonight's show. So come on down, bookmark that page, have fun. Let's go ahead and sell some coins, and I hope you guys get some screaming deals. Last week, I ended up selling a few pretty high-profile coins for relatively cheap, like a $400 graded commemorative coin. I ended up selling for $180. That's kind of the possibilities. I'm not salty about it, but I like talking about it because it really represents a true opportunity for those of you to pick up something, a lot cheaper than what the market indicates. All right, so come check that out. Appreciate your guys' support with me selling coins on this platform. It's been phenomenal. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the first coin here. We got good old Bessie Coleman making yet again another appearance. All right, probably the last time we'll be talking about these coins, unless something else crazy comes up. I hope there is, because we have the new Edith Kanaka Ole. Hopefully I got that right. That's the Hawaii American Women Quarter, and people are going to be hunting for those. All right, but before we talk about those, and by the way, they should be going live anytime now. So be ready to look for those immediately. This one here, however, of course, is has been one of the coins that people have talked about, and it's neither an error or variety, but more like die damage, and that's this incused machine doubled anomaly that you find on the reverse initials on this EC here, and I mean, looking at it, I mean, it looks pretty major enough that it should be its own thing. And it might be in the future. I'm really not sure, but people are finding these left and right. They're not at all rare. And these things, when they were first introduced into the marketplace, were selling for about 50, 60 bucks. They really caught the eye of a lot of folks, thinking that they could be legitimate hub doubling, but it wasn't the case. So machine doubling is what these are. And this particular example, still a solid sale at $24.45 with 13 bids. So there was quite a bit of bidding activity on this one. Keep in mind that there are other examples with not as good pictures that have sold for about 5 to 10 bucks. And that's where I've seen a lot of the sales generally for this particular anomaly. So if you do come across them, they're worth holding on to, but they're kind of like a hot potato. They're going to self-destruct, once there's hundreds of them on eBay, they're going to be worth virtually a few dollars. So if you got them now, you might as well sell them and take the absolute best photos that you possibly can, and hopefully you could earn yourself $10 to $20 like this person did. All right, well, we haven't talked about currency in quite some time, but we do have one here in a form of a 2004 $20 bill. Miscut is what this one is. And no, this one did not come from an uncut sheet that was available from the BEP, because it does not, the serial number does not begin with 9s. All right. And normally the novelty sheets that the BEP sells will all begin with 9s in the serial number. So this one right here is truly a note that came out of a BEP strap at one point. The note appears to be uncirculated, but you could see a sliver of the second note on that sheet at the bottom there, which is quite nice. You don't see it on the reverse because that particular design is smaller on the back. And typically the $20 bills have these big fat margins anyways. But I can imagine it's getting pretty close to the top end of the subsequent note on the bottom there. So this one ended up selling for $122. Just be on the lookout for any weird, funky stuff in paper money, because this is an entirely separate market that has been exploding lately. Okay, we have a really pleasing, 1983p Jefferson nickel. This one is, well, I'd probably say this one's slightly off-center by about 5%. Nothing too crazy. It does exhibit just a little bit of circulation wear. You could see that in the form of these luster breaks in the fields, and then a little bit of wear on the high points of the design here. Aside from that, really nice looking, pleasing example. If if you don't particularly care for this error because it's too minor for you, please do sell them because they are worth some money on the market. This one sold for $15.24, and I'm sure there's going to be a number of people that will be genuinely interested in this. And same goes here too. Again, same date. The only difference is this one is more off-center, probably about 30%. Great looking piece, great condition overall. Might have circulated a little bit, but I highly doubt it. It's just way too polarizing to use. Even for people that don't collect coins will see this and automatically know, whoa, there's something going on with this thing. I'm just going to go ahead and save it. And this one ended up selling here in the last, and by the way, all the sales are from the last like 24 to 36 hours. This one sold early this morning for $25.24. Okay, well, believe it or not, this week, in this particular show, we have a number of lots to discuss. Okay, I love lots from the perspective that you can buy these. And if everything is as described, and these are like legitimate varieties or errors that definitely have some sort of secondary market, you could sell these individually. And the idea is you want to try and double or triple your money by selling these as fixed priced listings, or what they call buy it nows. So we have a lot of actually 32 coins, and a lot of them, well, actually all of them except for that Kennedy $half up top, are in 2x2 holders with information written all over them. Now, from this particular picture, it's kind of hard to read, but I did pinpoint a few close-up photos that the seller did provide in their listing, and there's probably like 8 photos, but you know, it really didn't cover like major close-ups of any of the more spicier type stuff. But you know, there's a few coins, like there's a RPM number 1, stage B. Apparently they know their stuff, because if they know stages and die states, that could be pretty good news, you know, when it comes to buying stuff like this. But what you're going to do is examine each coin. You're going to do your research, go online, see if any of these coins have like some sort of like secondary market that we're not aware of. Usually with RPMs, these do okay, where you could sell them for 10 to 20 bucks, you know, a piece. So, you know, some interesting stuff here, but again, there's a few kind of like marginal, like why would they even add that in there type stuff. You want to make sure you cover all the bases. I mean, we're talking about 32 coins. This lot as a whole sold for $79.99 with 37 bids, coming in at just over $2 per coin. It could be the steal of the year that we're staring at here. But again, you have to do your research before you place your bids on these, and don't go super crazy. You want to build enough of a profit margin so that way these coins, a lot of them will probably be sitting in your eBay store for a while, especially if they're buy it now listings. You want to make sure that the profit margin is beefy enough to justify that, because this will be some work. All right, very cool. I believe this is the only cut die break within the last day that's notable enough that did sell. It's a 1970s Denver Lincoln Memorial Cent, but you can see the large cut die break there that covers a date, which is really neat, and you can see the corresponding weakness on the reverse. A piece of the die, just through general wear and tear of striking up these coins, cracked and it fell out at one point. So when it strikes the coins, all of the metal flow that occurs during the pressure of the strike will flow into kind of like the point of least resistance, I guess. So all of the metal flow will go into that empty cavity on the die and will create a raised blob like you see here. Now, even though it doesn't have a readable date, which I tell folks that, you know, with off-center struck coins and CUDs, it makes some difference. You know, CUDs have been so hot in the market that it really doesn't matter. We could determine it's from the 70s. It's got a Denver mint mark. Sometimes that's just enough. So this one sold for $58.24 with 6 bids. A very generous amount of money for this coin. Now this one's neat. Now it's not every day that you come across a coin, especially a copper nickel clad, where the nickel clad layer on one side of the coin is completely missing. And that's what we have here. This is a missing clad layer mint error. And it's the real deal too. You can see on the reverse there, that nice coppery color. That's actually the copper core of the standard copper nickel clad composition. But in this particular case, this is probably like an end of strip planchet that was punched out, where it's like all copper on one side. The plating never made it all the way around on that particular side. And it's really cool. I love these, and you do come across them on occasion, you know, in change. It's happened. Like this one here has circulated quite a bit, and no one even thought any better up until someone who knew their stuff pulled it out. What's miraculous is it is a Denver mint. I mean, you just don't see these type of errors coming through the Denver mint. This one sold for $105.10. And I think, quite honestly, that's a bargain for these type of errors. All right, so the next coin that we have here, again, the first coin in the American Women's Series made all sorts of headlines. It was the talk of the town. People hated it. People loved it. But once, the errors and varieties started pouring out on these coins, now everybody loved them, right? And it's like, wow, you're not going to stick to your guns and, believe what you want to believe. But the good old Maya Angelou here, man, this thing has had quite the history in the last 12 months. It's about a year old now. Did you know there's a bunch of doubled earring varieties? Okay, there's 4 that are attributed by Dr. Wiles on his website, varietyvista.com. This is actually VDDR number 1. You can see that secondary punched earring that's on the outside of the main earring design. That's what you're going to look for on this one, but there are other types as well. Go ahead and check out his website to see what the other ones are. So this one sold for $20. Again, not for nothing. These things are still selling pretty solidly, and they're not as rare as you think. Just a really nice, pleasing 1999 Lincoln Memorial. It's off center by about 10%. These were found in mint-sewn bags. So 1998, 99, 2000, and 01 are the 4 most common dates of this particular error, and it looks great. I mean, it's a nice mint state condition. You can even see the plate splitting around some of the devices as that metal stretched in an unnatural way for the planchet. This one ended up selling for $45.14. And by the way, guys, that's not a typical amount of money that these sell for. Generally, they're between $10 and $20 because they are a common date. So here's the other kind of like modern coin that is still, a target for roll hunters, and that's the crown die chips that you can find on the Washington crossing the Delaware quarters. They're all Philadelphia minted, although there have been a few medium-sized crown die chips found on Denver minted coins. For you folks there on the West Coast, that's great news. So this one right here, you could see that large die chip anomaly on top of Washington's hat on the reverse that goes into E pluribus unum and kind of covers that a little bit. So this one right here, still pretty good sales, $73.25 was the final price on this one. And yeah, still not bad. I wouldn't toss these back, even if they look like trash. Brian Rybar had a number of these available, but it's a 1957D Lincoln Wheat Cent with the BIE die chip. And they call it that because the die chip that forms between the B and E and Liberty looks like a letter I. So that's how it got its namesake. Now, there's a number of different progressions, especially for this date, which is one of the more common ones. This one sold for $8.96. Even well-circulated examples of this coin still hits the $5 to $8 mark. So they're worth money all across the board. You can either look for them or resell them, because they do come up quite frequently. So yeah, more modern coins to gloss over, guys. Take a mental note of all of these coins within the last 4 years, because they are going to be very important finds as we go on through the life cycle of these coins. But this is a 2022 Lincoln Shield set. Really, this one's just known for a couple kind of cool die cracks. You can see the one there on the obverse that's going through the T in trust, that last T there. So a crack from the rim goes through the T and ends somewhere in the fields there. But also on the reverse, you're going to see this die crack as well here to the right of the banner of 1 cent that connects from the rim to the banner. And then there's also a little shallow one here on the bottom left-hand corner as well under the O and 1. So it doesn't seem that major, but ladies and gentlemen, this one ended up being scooped up for $17. So again, that's a pretty good sale there on something that costs 1 cent. Another great one here. Now, I believe that this will be a Cherry Picker's Guide variety within the next 10 years. All right. I mean, that's 10 years, but still, it's major enough that I think that it's going to be just that. I have my beliefs. So it's a 2015 Lincoln Shield. This is the WDDO number 7. I believe the number 6 might be the big one, but this one you can see the doubling in the date. Everything's all stretched out. The 0 and the 5 are very, very telling. The 2 especially as well. But you also have doubling in liberty, and to a lesser extent in the motto "In God We Trust." So on these, focus on the date and liberty. You should be good to go. This one right here sold for $15.60. Now this one's really cool, all right? For those of you that like to hunt through Morgan dollars, there is such a thing as VAM variety hunting. It's really cool. It's something that you could spend a whole buttload of time researching and not get it the first time around, and that's okay. Each and every single date has, unique die pairings. Some have clashing, some have die chips, some have doubled numbers in the date, and things like that. So this is an 1888S. Now, this has something that could be a VAM, I'm sure. It's got the filled E on the reverse and "In God We Trust." So the E in "we" is gone, which indicates a filled die. But let's talk a little bit about the coin. Okay, this coin is no slouch. It's a tougher date at only 657,000 mintage. It's not an easy one to find anyways, in any condition. But if you did, that's a good coin just to keep as kind of like a semi-key for your Morgan set. So this one here, yeah, it's got the interesting missing E in "we" right there. Could be a possible VAM. Again, some of you that hunt through these probably already done your research on VAMworld.com. This one sold for a really nice sum of cash, actually. $219.51 with 41 bids is the final sale price on this. I think that's more of a case of the coin being in really good shape and it being just a semi-key. So I wanted to throw that out there. Really cool coin regardless. So here's our next lot. Quite interesting. This is a lot of 13. So this is your baker's dozen special of errors. Now there's 10 coins that are blank planchets. Looks like 7 of them are quarter sized. And then you have one of each of the Lincoln cent, dime, and nickel planchet. But it also comes with 3 off-center struck coins. The most notable being the quarter. It's a 1983P. The Lincoln and Jefferson have no readable dates. Here's a little bit of an image on the reverse of each of the coins. They look pretty okay, no problems that I could speak of. Maybe the Lincoln cent has been cleaned. I see a bunch of hairlines on there. But aside from that, really cool lot. I mean, this one sold for $107.65 with 26 bids. And I just have to ask you guys this one question. Does this lot of 13 coins have any possible secondary market activity? Could you buy this and flip it for, make 2x? All right, so I'm going to leave that question to you. You guys probably go and do your research and see how much blank planchets go for, especially quarters. I know the Lincoln cent ones are a dime a dozen. They only sell for maybe $4 or $5 a piece. So I don't know. Would love to hear your thoughts. I know what I would think, but I'm going to let you guys kind of do the research and see what you find. All right, still a cool coin. I've never found one of these in circulation, and that's okay. I'm just not in the right place of the United States to find these, but the Tuskegee Airmen, the last National Park quarter design, yeah, the burning building strike through. That's what you're looking for. And they are all rad, man. Some of them are smaller than others, and then you have the bigger ones with the larger anomalies. These are all byproducts of a field-restricted strike-through, which occurs when the feeder finger makes contact with the die, and with that happening, you get some of the grease on the end of the feeder finger that gets pushed around on there. So these generally will have also feeder finger scrapes, which most of them do. This one sold for $47.25 with 14 bids. So not too bad. Coin is circulated, but glad to see there's still some interest here. So the talk of the town this I guess this year is the 2023 Lincolns with what they call the VDB-V varieties. So there's a V anomaly next to the Victor David Brenner initials on the obverse there. So again, people are speculating what this is. My personal feeling is that it's some sort of gouge on the working hub. So because it is incuse on the coin, and people have found multiples of these. It's not like it's a one-time thing where the coin was hit with some tool or device or some foreign object. So yeah, it's pretty neat. And, they're selling for a decent amount of money. Like this one is sold for $45. And the same bidder too, or the same seller, has a number of these. So you could find these in quantity if you do enough hunting. And pretty cool here, but I will say that this is a more common error on much older coins. The overall crudeness of the production of coinage back in the early 19th century could not be further, overstated. And this is an 1818 matron head large cent with a 180-degree rotated die error. So when you do a traditional coin turn with this, the image on the reverse is not right side up, it's still upside down, which means 180-degree rotated error. But again, this is something that is pretty common. You could easily find 45 and 90-degree rotated dies on early large cents with very little issues. I found quite a few of them over my life. So this one right here sold for $44.75 with 31 bids. I would say that it's generally problem-free, with a little mild kind of light porosity, which might indicate, a coin that has environmental, it was buried in the ground type of damage. So aside from that, it's just an overall pleasing coin and, very common error. So here's our next slot. We have a lot of 10 off-center struck coinage, all various different denominations. You have the 83 quarter, you have a 1980 nickel in there, and a few other coins with readable dates. There's a 72 Roosevelt dime, which is a much tougher date than it sounds. Really nice lot. I think all the coins here have some sort of secondary market flipping power of sorts. Even the Lincoln cent, that's like 98% off center struck. Really cool. But this one right here, $121.50 with 29 bids, which brings it to about $12 per coin. I'd say there's some opportunity here. So again, it's all about doing that research in advance to see if you could truly sell these for 2.5x, which I think you can. A few of the coins, like the 72 dime, that's going to be a $30, $40 coin all day long. And the quarter, possibly like $20-$25. It's just a really neat lot, And but just make sure you do your homework, you crunch numbers, and then you bid accordingly. Here's one I haven't seen quite some time. This is that double-sided crazy 2015 P Jefferson nickel with the field restricted strike through on both sides. The reverse is actually a lot stronger than that obverse anomaly there, but again, same thing as the coin that we saw a few slides ago with the feeder finger and the all that great stuff. This one is not mint-state at all. This one is really well circulated, but you can see all this stuff here up close. This is not damage, folks. This is the real deal. $19.99 was the final sale price on this one, so pretty decent considering it's a circulated piece. Now here's the biggest, most craziest burning building strike through. It's got the secondary strike through that's under the wing of one of the planes there. It kind of gives it the appearance that the plane shot a missile, which is really neat. But you also have that large feature on the building itself. The coin's in pretty nice shape. This is the one that used to sell for $200 to $300 back when it was discovered. And at the time, it was well worth it, especially on a very nice mint-state condition coin. This one sold for $90. So a lot of them do fall under that $100 threshold. And but you also have to keep in mind that a lot of them are circulated as well. So these are not completely worthless. They are worth selling if you don't want them. because the money's still pretty good on these. Yeah, well, someone just had to throw in just a crazy whack job type of variety. And of course, it's the 1955 FS101 doubled die offers. I mean, this coin needs no introduction. A few points on this one is that it's been cleaned. It's a cleaned example, so it's not going to be the biggest high-end piece that you will find for the money. This one ended up selling for $1,205.25 with 5 bids. So there you go. I mean, yeah, that's cleaning does do a major number on the value of this, where otherwise an AU problem-free example traditionally sells for about $1,700 to $2,000. But it's great to see these ungraded. Again, it's a very widely counterfeited coin, so you gotta make sure you know what to look for when you're considering buying these. I would say just buy a graded example and skip through all the heartache. It's going to save you quite a bit of aggravation. But really great looking coin in spite of its cleanliness, I guess. Couple more left, and I'm going to say that this is the price point I was looking for this coin because I really wanted one, but I wasn't willing to cough up $400 to $600 for it. Call me, I don't know, is that realist or maybe cheap? I don't know, but it was only going to be a matter of time before these things begin to kind of like wallow by in the market. And this is a really nice condition piece. The Wilma Mankiller double-sided ratine cud was all the rage last summer. And boy, was it outrageous. These things hit even over $1,000 ungraded. So this one right here, $275 is where it's at. So yeah, people are beginning to move on from this one, and they're getting ready for more crazy 2023 coinage. Let's see if the U.S. Mint lets us down with more nutty errors. We'll see. No date on this Washington quarter, off-center by, I would say, 60%? That's what the seller had said, but really cool. I mean, it's great, nice mid-state example. Sure, date matters in most of these because people collect these by date, but this one doesn't have it. This one ended up selling for 55 bones. So, pretty cool coin. It's actually very attractive with or without the date. And the final coin, ladies and gentlemen, is this roughed up, beat up 1965. Well, it's not really beat up. It's just really well circulated. It's probably a VF. But for most of its life, nobody really cared about this. So, it's like, oh, it's damaged, right? But, yeah, it's missing a good fair amount of the nickel clad layer on the reverse, but this used to be a clamshell lamination. So the coin had split right down the edge, separating the copper core to that nickel layer. And I guess you could say someone helped it along, because it doesn't have a clean break like this one unless you were to peel it back and then crack it. So there's definitely a piece somewhere out there. It might be gone forever. I'm not really sure. But typically I would say with clamshell laminations, don't peel it like this one. They're worth more with the lamination attached to the coin than they are cracked off and broken. But there you go. I mean, that's a really well circulated copper core. All right. So this thing went through the paces of commerce for probably, if I had to guess, 30, 40 years plus, with that piece missing to be able to oxidize that brown, like you would expect for any copper era Lincoln to do. So $43 with 18 bids was the final kind of like wrap up on this coin on eBay. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty neat. This is a very interesting conversation piece. It's just too bad that, the other piece isn't included in this. It's a really neat piece. Yeah, but so there's been a lot of kind of like speculation whether you would call this damaged or if it's like a missing clad layer error, like if you send it to a grader, how would they categorize it? I think they would probably say damaged, on something like this. I don't know. I'm not them by any stretch. But yeah, keep the piece on there. So, well, that's going to go ahead and do it for this one. It was a pleasure. I'll see you guys in like 2 weeks for another PCMR and another MMR. Won't be doing a Monday market report until then either. But yeah, it was a really cool group of coins. Again, 2023s begin to be all the headlines for the PCMR these days. The new Edith Kanaka Ole. It will be out here sometime this week. Maybe you guys are already finding it. But game on. Let's go ahead and search and hunt for more big banging errors and varieties like I know you guys do. And I wish you guys nothing but the best of luck in all of your hunts. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Come check me out on TikTok as well at BlueRidgeSilverhound. I'm your host, Sean. And hopefully I'll see you guys on Whatnot tonight. Bring your checkbook or your wallet. So you guys take care. Thanks again for all your support. Love you guys. And I'll see you next time.